Hello, everybody. Welcome to Political Football. My name is Dave, and we're here with a rare four-man wolf pack, as Cleve would say. We have myself, Scott, as we're used to here in the offseason, Cleve back here in the offseason for a few minutes, and Matty Ice, the president of the network himself, has decided to join us this evening for a little bit to discuss.
Oh, gentlemen. Scott, good to see you, by the
Sanders.
way.
Nice to see you. I'm expecting a severe bitch slapping, but maybe we'll
Why?
escape it.
First of all, let's backtrack a little bit. Let's backtrack. Why would I do that?
I don't know.
I don't have your sound effect of I made some notes, but you said you're expecting some fireworks from me. Dave did ask me if I wanted to come on and give my opinion, but that doesn't mean fireworks. I'm actually going to agree with Dave.
With Dave? Oh boy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the firework.
Okay.
Make him sit in the green room for like 14 rounds.
And record the entire thing.
I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah, right.
So the original plan was that Scott and I would discuss our three favorite and three least favorite draft classes from the AFC. And depending on time, Scott and I will still get to that. However, one of my least favorite draft classes was the Cleveland Browns, despite picking up an extra first-round pick next year. And, of course, if we're discussing the Cleveland Browns, it means we're going to discuss the talk of the draft, which for some reason was the slide of Shedeur Sanders. Now, here's the way I want to do this. I want to start with Scott to sort of just talk about Shedeur as a prospect from your opinion, not like what everybody else thought, just as like you're our NFL draft guy here, what your thought was of him as a prospect versus some of these other quarterbacks. Then I want to get Matt and Cleve's take on the situation before I share mine. So, Scott, please go first, just from a pure, ball, you watch tape, all that. What did you think of Shedeur? Where did you think he should have gone, just based on how he was as a prospect, in your opinion?
I'm not listening to this.
Okay, moving along. I think he could have gone in the range where Jackson Dart went, and any point thereafter, and it would have made sense. Just from the on the field stuff, he's an accurate passer. He has a really interesting ability to manipulate the release angle. Let's call it that, because it's kind of hard to describe. But you got over the top throwers, you've got 3/4 arm throwers, you got sidearm throwers, all that stuff. Shedeur's able to do a bunch of of different things with where he releases the ball, depending on how much layering he needs to do to get the ball complete, if that makes any sense. So think of having to layer the ball over a linebacker in front of a safety on the boundary. He's able to be accurate and deliver the ball differently than a lot of other players do, where some guys just rip those throws in there. Some guys throw with anticipation. He doesn't throw with anticipation. He wants to see things open before he will throw the ball. And then the biggest detractors, I think, from his game, there's a lot of positives around his game, and he's much more athletic than people talk about. Everybody talks about him as this unathletic, stiff kind of pocket passer. I don't see that at all. I think he is athletic. I think he can do things with his feet. So there are some positives. The negatives are he doesn't have a big arm, and when you don't have a big arm and you don't have really, really good footwork and your lower body is a little bit, I'm not going to call it lazy, but it's just inefficient. There are times when he tries to make throws that he just can't make because his base isn't good, and he doesn't have Cam Ward's arm. Like, Cam Ward doesn't play with a good base either, but he's got a big arm, so he can rip throws into places where he doesn't have to have everything settled and his toes pointed the right way and all that stuff. All of his cleats in the ground. Shedeur does. So
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You said he could have gone over Jackson Dart did, which was 25th overall in the trade-up. So that also means you weren't shocked that he didn't go in the first round.
No, I was not, but I was also factoring in some of the things that you hear, around.
Just as a prospect, you aren't shocked he didn't go in the first round.
As a prospect, I am kind of surprised he didn't go in the first round, because we've seen a lot of players go in round one who are more flawed than him. the last things I'll say about him is that he does bring his own pressure. Now, Dave, you and I talked about Drake May a lot in 2 years ago in the draft class because of how much drifting he does or did in the pocket. And some of that I think you can coach up, and you can get kind of like, hey, why are we drifting to bring pressure? Let's work on this kind of stuff. But so he brings his own pressure upon himself, and there's a lot of his own sacks that he brings upon himself. But Colorado's offensive line was horrendous. It just was. So, I think there are good things, there are bad things around his game. Are the bad things fixable? Some. I mean, you're not going to develop a much bigger arm than you come into the NFL with. But he does do things, where he's ahead of some of these guys. He's a more. I mean, Jackson Dart has the same issues. I would say Jackson Dart has probably a lesser arm. He's probably got lesser arm strength than Shedeur does. So that's it. So it didn't surprise me that he fell. I mean, it surprised me he fell where he ended up falling to, but it didn't surprise me that he fell out of round one after the quarterback needy teams kind of went past him. And then I thought, is there a chance Pittsburgh would take him? And my last point is that if you look at these teams, Cleveland, the Giants, Pittsburgh, some of these other teams, they are outdoor teams playing in the cold, playing in the wind, all that stuff. And it's just not a perfect fit. And then you throw on the off the field, which sounds like it sounds like he had to have a little bit of an awakening, and it came too late in the process. I don't know if you guys are hearing the stuff around the Giants and some of the stuff that went on with the second meeting they had.
Yeah. And I'm going to
and with the Saints.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring that up.
And with the Saints.
Yes. So Matt, given what Scott just said, and Scott is definitely the most knowledgeable out of all of us about looking at prospects, except for elite wide receiver. That's me. But everything else is Scott. No, I'm kidding. Scott's better at that too. Were you surprised? I mean, I think we're all surprised he fell to the 5th round, but were you surprised he fell to round 1? Were you shocked by this? Did you think anything was out of the ordinary? So he fell out of round 1 into round 2, and what's just your general thought on the situation?
I didn't watch the draft live. Hold on, let me turn my AC off here because that's obnoxious. And I wasn't surprised that some of the things that ended up happened. So I gave this take on Sunday, and I've had some time to think about it, and I've listened to Scott, who knows more than me in terms of prospects, but I think I don't really feel differently today than I did on Sunday, in that I think that, but first of all, the NFL, we've seen so many teams make dumb mistakes. We know that there's teams out there. Like, the longer he stayed there on the draft board in round 1, like somebody like Jerry Jones was salivating to do something stupid. The Raiders, perfect example of a team that would trade back into the first round to do something stupid. The Giants traded in to get Jackson Dart. A lot of people weren't super enthralled with that. And so I really feel like there was a combination of something that people saw in the tape. And even to Scott's point, talking about the footwork, talking about trying to make plays. Scott, do you remember in November we talked about Caleb Williams and how he wanted to do some of those things? And there's a guy who we all agree, massive prospect, massive talent. And then those things weren't working because the offensive scheme wasn't working, coupled with the fact that he wanted to do that. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is that. I don't think that his talent was commensurate of the kind of hype that people were giving him in the top end of the first round. We're talking like top 5 pick. That's what I believe. And I think that teams smartly looked at tape and felt a certain way about his play on the field. So that's one element of it. And then we add in all the extracurriculars. Even before the draft, do we all remember that he had New York Giants cleats for a bowl game they lost by 35? So he had those things going for him. These are teams that my father doesn't want me to go to. Nothing wrong with that, but those things do start to add up as the process goes along. And so if you're talking about draft capital, especially in the first round, and especially at quarterback, which is a position that we have looked past so many shitty human beings because they're good. And so if nobody picked him in the first round, to me, that tells me that he wasn't talented enough to overcome all the other stuff. That's just my opinion, that it was a combination of both. A lot of people are trying to make it out to be just the extracurriculars. And I think that has a lot to do with it. The collusion stuff is total horseshit because, like, I just don't think that that's true. I think it's like 32 teams are not going to pick him, and then when do you decide and how do we legislate who gets to pick him after that? I said on Sunday, Kaepernick, nobody signed him. Totally easy. Just don't do anything. But in the draft, you know, that seems ridiculous. And so I think all the stuff that goes into it, and, you know, Cleve, I know you told me on Monday, and you've said in the text about, like, he's too black for the NFL. I really think that if his talent it wouldn't matter. I really don't think it would matter. And, you know, Travis Hunter has not presented himself, quote unquote, as black as Shedeur has, but Travis Hunter was a transcendent athlete who won the Heisman Trophy. And guess what? The Jacksonville Jaguars traded up to get him. Even if he said, I'm playing both positions and I'm going to walk if I don't, his talent was enough that they did that. And now, I thought of this while cutting the grass like an hour ago. Imagine if the 49ers or some team traded what they traded to get Trey Lance for Shedeur Sanders and picked him at 3. We would be just out of control. Like, what the hell was that? You know what I mean? And that's why I just think it's both. And it's okay to be both. It's okay that he maybe isn't as good as his dad projected him to be. And I think the media had a lot to do with that too, because we were getting fed a lot. Because Deion, I love how he coaches. I love just how he presents himself in a stuffy, mostly white college football environment. But this is the NFL now. It's a meritocracy. You play if you're good, and you stay on the field if you're good, even sometimes if you beat your wife. And in this case, I just think that the combination of football and all the other stuff, it wasn't worth it to waste, because if they get it wrong, they're set back for like 5 years. And that, I think, is a huge thing where I think certain teams have looked at, like the Jets or even even the 49ers. The 49ers got lucky that Brock Purdy worked out at Mr. Irrelevant, because if he doesn't, they're where the Raiders are, right? They're in the shitter. So I just think that some teams were like, I don't know. And if the Giants are a quarterback needy team, and per the reports, not per Brian Daboll's mouth, but if he really was that awful in the interview, that's a huge risk to take for first round capital that a lot of times doesn't come around as often as we kind of like assume that it does. That's my totalic take.
All right, Cleve. Now, I'm pretty sure you're the most pro Shedeur as a prospect here on the panel today. So, given that, I think we all agree, falling to the 5th round, pick 144, and going after whoever was the quarterback, North Dakota State.
That Shaw, whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Go ahead and give us your thoughts here on what you thought happened, what you were feeling as it was going on, the whole shebang. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me mic up here. So I am the hold on. Check. So I'm the least qualified as far as the evaluator of talent. Scott is our deferment on that. Matt is the statistician person, and Dave, you know where all these guys go to college, and you kind of watch the college game to nauseum. So with that being said, hey Ev, fellow Jets fan. So I told Matt when I made the comment that he was too black for the NFL. What I really mean is that the code switch, like Cam Ward, nice, elegant suit, small chain, alma mater pen, all business, no smiles. He looked very uptight, meaning like he's there to get drafted and make his appearance and then leave to go check in with the team that picked him. Shedeur is at a suite at his house with his legendary brand, which he hasn't done anything yet to have a brand already going in.
Do it in the NFL.
Didn't think that was a good look. Has a giant chain on, hip hop, whatever. Celebrities kind of in and out of the background. A little bit too much. So when you're drafting him, you're drafting his entire team, his family, his everything, right? So that's kind of my kind of like 30,000 view take as far as that. As far as his play, over years in watching the NFL draft, I've seen teams pick guys that are less talented, or when they got to the NFL, they didn't do anything. And he can very well get on the field in preseason and just be lost. I mean, it could happen to anybody. The pro game versus the college game versus high school, Pee Wee, it's all different, right? So I get that. I think that with all these teams, because I agree with Matt, there's no collusion. There's no, grand meeting of people to say, hey, don't pick this kid or whatever. We're going to teach him a lesson. I don't think that necessarily happen. But what I do think is that him not code switching, and I don't know if you guys know what I mean by that. It's like Russell Wilson, go Hawks.
Some of us live it every day, buddy.
Yeah, so you got to put your big boy hat on, you got to put on your mask, and you got to go to work. So I believe that he shouldn't have. Yeah, there you go, Zach Wilson. That's exactly.
That was going to be my rebuttal.
Thinking. Yeah,
even the Trey Lance pick is sort of like Trey Lance was nowhere near what. I'm sorry, Cliff. Go. I'm sorry.
No. You're fine. And then Will Levis made the NFL, so which looks clueless that he didn't think a football existed before throwing it into the ground, looking at guys. I think he didn't do enough to earn it. And if the reports are true about the visits to New Orleans and the Giants, which kind of gave the same energy. And I think I can't substantiate this or validate this, but they said that he showed up for a meeting in New Orleans 2 hours late with an entourage of people, right? To be shown around the facility by ownership and the brass, the people that you need to kiss their ass to show them that, hey, I'm worthy of your pick. You can't come with a team of people, right? You can't come 2 hours late. You can't come unprepared. Any one of us here, who work for a living, we do that at any job interview or any job. Think about not getting that job when you get to your car. It's over. So yeah,
when you haven't even left the building, Cleve, like not the car.
Yeah. To Scott's point, he got an awakening. It shouldn't have been 5th round, but and at today's point in the text that he got his ass kissed his entire life, and then he finally got, you're not playing daddy ball anymore, you're playing big boy ball. So here it is. So if you're not going to show up again ready, and you're, today's point, if you're just a mediocre prospect, and you don't code switch, what do you expect to happen? Right.
Dave, before you go, I just want to say what's baked into everything that Cleve just said is he's not good enough to overcome all the stuff, right? Because he said a couple of times, Cleve, he hasn't earned it. You're not good enough to overcome the legendary booth, the entourage, all that stuff. You come in the NFL, light it up, sure, I don't care, do whatever you want, right? But beforehand, if you haven't earned it, and you haven't even, not even earned it, but we, the four of us, Scott may be different, but I don't think we all think he's worthy of that kind of hype and that kind of bravado where you come in and say, basically, I own this league. It's not how it works. And if he was good enough, he'd have gotten drafted.
His dad did that. His dad did that, and I can't remember the only athlete not to ever do that, but his dad did that because his dad was the guy, the guy.
Sure,
he came in and did that.
Sure,
and yeah, so you can do that. If Travis Hunter did that, we would probably have no problem. But again,
Travis Hunter did do that.
It didn't get covered, and I think that's part of Dave, the coverage of Shedeur heading in here was way past where it should have been covered.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that, and I don't think that is necessarily his fault, because they latched on to something that would get clicks. And honestly, and this is a huge accusation, so you can totally put this on TikTok if you want to, Mel Kiper faked all that outrage for clicks. I just don't think that was, Mel Kiper's the guy who's been so wrong. And look, he's a draft analyst. They get it wrong 70% of the time. Okay, he's like a meteorologist. It's okay that you're wrong, but he was losing his mind. That was way more entertaining than the free fall. That was the story, and I just wondered. I'm like, this feels contrived because we should be outraged. Can you believe it? And of course, our orange creamsicle in chief has to get involved and takes credit for him finally getting drafted, which is one of the most asinine things I've ever heard in my life outside of it's all computer. But anyway, so I just want to say that, Cleve, that I don't disagree with you about some of the things. The NFL is all about the culture and all that, but if he's good enough, he's off the board. He's just off the board if he's good enough.
As I've been saying on the text and offline and in personal conversations with you guys, the NFL is the brand, right? And within that brand is a sub brand of each team. So you play for the jersey that you're wearing and the logo on the side of that helmet. You can't come in here with legendary gear that no one knows of yet. And you saw the clips of Cam Ward roasting him alive, telling him about, he says Gatorade pays me. I'm get some Gatorade. I'm like, who needs to know that? Cameron was like, football is going to pay me. I'm good. Right. Legendary stuff. And again, I think he thought that shit will play because his dad did it and he's 2.0. It wasn't even close.
Okay.
Before you go, Dave, just real quick. He did throw 37 touchdown passes last year.
He did.
If none of the off-field stuff existed and he was a clean prospect and all that other stuff, and he went 3rd overall to the Giants, very few people would have anything to say about Shedeur Sanders because that's kind of what the NFL does.
My name on the screen right now would be the exact same.
You may be an outlier. I don't know why. I guess I don't understand why you dislike Shedeur so much. But I think generally speaking, what I'm saying is that his play on the field isn't all that different from other players who have gone really early. We've mentioned a few of them.
Correct.
But have they worked out?
No.
Is there learning? But are they learning? Or is it possible?
No,
I know this is ridiculous. Is it possible? Some of them might. I mean, some might.
The Giants traded up for Jackson Dart.
Well, that they don't count. I mean, they never learn.
Also, couple things here. Shedeur Sanders is not an elite quarterback prospect, even if everything else is perfect. So, I did send this, but I don't know if you guys clicked the link. So, Cleve, I'm going to ask you. Cleve, Shedeur Sanders is the second quarterback ever to throw for over 35 touchdowns, 4,000 yards, and win the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award in the history of college football. Who's the only other quarterback to do that?
The hillbilly tuxedo wearing Gardner Minshew.
That is correct. It's Gardner Minshew. So, yes, his play on the field is good. He has good counting stats. He played in the Big 12 for a team that couldn't run the ball and lost a lot of games. Right? Yep. Yes, he's going to throw for a lot of touchdowns. The reason that Shedeur is clearly not an elite quarterback prospect is that we can just easily compare him to last class and the next class. And sight unseen, I'm going to say that Scott will only take Shedeur straight up over 2 of the following names. So, Scott, here we go. I'm going to give you a name and Shedeur. You have to pick. We'll just say it was coming out of college. So some of the guys have had a rookie season, just coming out of college. Who would you take? This player or Shedeur to the Lions? Indoors, good offense, whatever. Caleb Williams or Shedeur?
Caleb Williams.
Jaden Daniels or Shedeur?
Jaden Daniels.
Drake May or Shedeur?
I don't know.
It's Drake May.
Okay, you're asking me.
He's just such a sicker athlete. Come on, he's just such a sicker athlete. That's not even kidding ourselves. JJ McCarthy or Drake May, or JJ McCarthy or Shedeur Sanders?
McCarthy.
Michael Penix or Shedeur Sanders?
I don't know.
Bo Nix or Shedeur Sanders?
Ooh.
I don't know.
Wow.
Arch Manning or Shedeur Sanders?
Ooh, Arch Manning has started 2 games at Texas.
And he's looked better than both of the Shedeur has ever looked.
Okay. This is a silly
Lenora Sellers or Shedeur Sanders?
Who?
Yeah, that's kind of the point.
I don't even know. Is that a real person?
We don't even know.
Right now, you get to pick. You get to pick because Shedeur's not going to play this year. So next year, Jared Goff loses both legs in a tractor accident in the next offseason. The Lions are going to pick a quarterback going into next year. You can have Shedeur after 1 year riding the bench of the Browns, or the Norris Sellers coming out after the second college football season. Who do you want the Lions to take, Shedeur or Sellers?
I mean, what's the cost?
It's equal for both. Equal.
Probably Sellers.
Correct.
But
so here's what I'm saying. They just went who to Lenora Sellers, and you're like, yeah, I'm taking that guy over Shedeur Sanders, who none of us would go who for. The reason that Shedeur Sanders seems like such a top prospect is because of the shine he got from his dad's coaching job at Colorado, right? Which Shedeur helped with. But that shine was Coach Prime's, right? And then the rest of the shine belonged to the best cornerback, wide receiver, football player in the country, who Shedeur got to throw the ball to, right? That is what propped up Shedeur Sanders as this elite prospect, which he never was. Secondly, Once you fall out of the first round as a quarterback, you do not matter. Once you're past the first round, it doesn't matter anymore. Of the 32 quarterbacks set to start this upcoming season, only 5 were taken in the second round or later. Jalen Hurts, Geno Smith, Tyler Shuck this year by the Saints. They were in the second round. Dak Prescott in the 4th, Mr. Relevant Brock Purdy. The other 27 were all first round picks, right? If you are drafting a quarterback, it's past the first round. You are not drafting somebody you expect to be the face of your franchise anymore. But that never happens. Let me finish. That never happens after that. So now you combine the fact that he's not this huge elite prospect. He's now out of the first round. He comes with all this extra baggage, and it turns out he was a jerk to the Giants and the Saints. That's why he fell to the 5th round, right? He brought it on himself through not being elite in the first place as a prospect and then not being elite in the process. Because once you're out of the first, that's what happened to Malik Willis. Once he fell out of the first, he was like, well, whatever, we'll get him in the 4th, whatever. Sam Howell was the same thing. These were quarterbacks. I mean, Malik Willis was being bet to go in the top 10 2 days before the draft. He goes in the 4th round, right? His fall was faster and steeper than Shedeur.
This is a scarlet letter that stays with him for a long time.
It will.
When if he makes it. Go ahead, Scott.
No, go. You're good.
If he makes it to year 3 in the NFL, and a team needs somebody, they're gonna remember all of this stuff that happened with his meetings or interviews or whatever. Not interviewing well. That stuff follows you because these guys still talk to each other. And if you're not a locker room guy or a team guy, Dave said it best about Cam Ward when the guy walks, talks, breathes, lives, sleeps football. He probably shits football too, right? He's about football. He's like, that's what I want out of my franchise quarterback. I want a guy that's going to do that. I think that with all the time that he's been with Dion and his team, he should get some media training because he talks like I don't think he's talking to people the right way, but that's what I say about him trying to be this real whatever too black. I don't know what to call that, but you're going into a business. You're going into something that it's a brand within itself. It's another brand within a brand within a brand, and this is going to follow him for a while. He's not going to play this year unless some catastrophic injuries happen on the Browns. Like both quarterbacks get taken out, and then they got to bring somebody up because he should be able to beat out old man Flacco. But Flacco, it's not Flacco.
It's Flacco, Kenny Pickett,
Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel. Yeah,
Deshaun Watson. I was going to bring up Deshaun Watson. I'm going to bring up Jalen Hurts. Not for the same reasons, but also for the same reason. Deshaun Watson, who unfortunately is black, has 26 credible accusers of sexual assault, ends up getting a massive guaranteed contract from Cleveland anyways, right? Like, if ever there was a reason for the NFL to be like, you know what, we actually don't like black people and black quarterbacks, so we're going to blackball somebody, Deshaun Watson would have been it. But the thing is, at the time, people thought Deshaun Watson was a good quarterback, so he got that money. Jalen Hurts basically just told Donald Trump to go fuck himself and didn't go to the White House. And nobody has a thing to say about it because he just won the Super Bowl, right? If some like scrub backup somewhere was like, I'm not going to meet the president. They're like, well, is this the right thing to do? Should he do this? Should the entire team go? Nobody's going to say anything to Jalen Hurts because he's good, right? Shedeur Sanders is just not seen as that level of prospect. The reason John Elway can tell the Baltimore Colts to go soak their heads, and Eli Manning can tell the Chargers the same thing, and Travis Hunter can tell the entire league, I'm playing both ways or don't draft me, is because they're all actually elite prospects and talents. Shedeur Sanders is not that, but he carries himself that way. And that's the issue. It's not the fact that, Baker Mayfield carries himself that way, but Baker Mayfield's a better prospect than Shedeur Sanders. That's why he went first overall.
Baker right? Also, I was just looking up Baker because he's the guy he's the white guy everybody brings up to try and say, like, oh, you see. And I'm like, Baker had come off the Heisman. He won Player of the Year. Like, he had a ridiculous year in 2017. Now, in retrospect, they used the first overall pick on him, and maybe that was too high with what we know now. But at the time, it was like, with the season that he just had. But I want to do something before I like get out of here. So I just want to ask, can I ask a nuanced question or like bring up a nuanced,
That's our favorite.
I kind of wonder, I was thinking about this earlier today and I'm like, what would have happened? Because Shedeur has his father, right? They go to Jackson State. They play great. They end up moving up to Colorado. And we know because Shedeur moves with his dad. If Shedeur had played at Jackson State and Deion was not the coach, where would he have gone? Would he have transferred? I think he probably still would have transferred from Jackson State, but where would he have ended up? If he ended up at Colorado, had a good year, do we think he would have ended up at one of these elite programs? You know what I mean? Like, we don't know that because Deion was there and was his hype man and was with him. And I do wonder if that was something that maybe hurt him in this process over the last few years because you have that fallback. Again, no fault of a father hyping up their kid. None at all. Now, I do tell James he sucks from time to time, but that's what fathers do as well. But my point is like, had he had a regular trajectory without his father, his famous father, too, that's also something that is hard to live with. I mean, look at what Bronny James is going through, right? I mean, he got drafted. I mean, yes, the second round, those guys really don't matter in the NBA. But think about all the coverage he got. He shouldn't have been covered at all because he wasn't. He's Bronny James. The only reason that he's because he's LeBron's kid. And so I wonder if we would be thinking so much differently and people would have been thinking differently and his trajectory would have been different had he had, let's say, another year without his dad. He transfers to a Big Ten school, maybe an SEC school, and has a great year, gets better. Maybe we're not talking about this, but I think that all this leading up to it, all the hoopla, everything about his trajectory through college football, and Dave's right, it's attached to his father. And
yes.
That's hard to overcome.
But it's not only attached to his father. He got Travis Hunter at Jackson State in Colorado because of Deion. Yeah. Without his dad, he doesn't get Travis Hunter. And Travis Hunter is actually why those teams are so good. Right. Yeah, and that's not to take away from Shedeur, but let's not kid ourselves. Like the reason Colorado went from being 0-12 to 9-3 in 2 years is not because they got a 5th round quarterback. It's because they got the best two-way player to ever play the sport of college football. Yes, I'm a Michigan fan. Yes, and it's Charles Woodson. Right. Travis Hunter is the best two-way player. Like, I mean, probably since like pre-World War II. Right. Just unbelievable. Shohei Ohtani level stuff in college football.
I just wanted to bring that up because I thought it was pertinent because it is sort of at the base, the foundation of everything that Shedeur started with and is. And it will follow him. I mean, it still will.
But the thing about following Deion is that Jackson State's not an elite program. And then Colorado's not an elite program. Mm-hmm. Without his dad, maybe he goes to an actual program within the offensive line. Maybe he just follows his dad to Florida State, where they got like a real offensive lineman. Or he does go to Jackson State. There he does look good. And then he transfers to where Travis Hunter actually ended up when he decided to go move up anyways. Maybe last year he ends up at Michigan because Michigan didn't have a quarterback, right? You know, who knows? He could be any number of places, but you can't separate him from his dad because you can't separate his dad from Travis Hunter. And so the three of them all kind of move together. And I think it's pretty clear that Deion is a really good coach and Travis Hunter is one of the most insane college football players we've ever seen. So when you combine those two, I'm not surprised the quarterback looked good. And Shedeur should have been a pick on the second day. He should not have fallen past the third round, in my opinion. Right. But once you fall past the first round, it really at that point is like, what is the point of taking you in all this hoopla if it's past the first round? And that's why he fell to the 5th.
So 2 things there, Dave. I agree with because I think you said it on the text, on the group text. He benefited from having Travis Hunter. And I think when Deion was trying to shop Travis Hunter to wherever, saying there's certain places that they won't play, I think it was mostly Travis Hunter he was talking about, but he has to shop his kid with it because it's a package deal. So I get that. Matt, you get a kick out of this as a boxing fan. So Roy Jones Jr. has a father named Roy Jones Sr. and Shane Mosley's dad. They both managed their kid, right? To their detriment, till the point where they got rid of their fathers as management and ended up winning world titles because their dads were having them fight certain people and say, hey, my kid doesn't deserve to fight that guy because he's not on the level of my guy or my son and stuff like that. So fathers and sons in sports kind of like it really muddies the waters a little bit. So being Deion's kid didn't do him any favors, but again, him being Deion's kid and embracing Deion, like how Deion is, and taking on that persona, that hurt him even more. Having your number retired for doing what, bro? If anyone's number, Travis Hunter's number probably needs to go into the rafters. That's pretty much it.
Yes.
That's it. We stop there.
Yes.
That's it. So again, all this kissing his ass, he got to draft night and he's standing there like, yeah, I'm just waiting for this phone call. And speaking of phone calls, I don't know how you guys felt about this, but I think the Atlanta DC ex-Jets coach, interim coach, son, if any one of us had our kids do that, we're done. Like, I would be fired. Like, straight up.
Yeah.
Like, this kid got into your personal shit and got a number. Are you kidding me?
So here's the thing. Jeff Ulbrich is a big guy, so his son might be a big guy. I don't know. I haven't seen what the son looks like, but the son is 21, and 21-year-olds do stupid things. But
he looks exactly like you would think, Dave. He looks like a frat boy. Yeah.
Okay, so Shedeur's 22. I just think the kid should have to fight Shedeur. Like, they should have to get in the ring. Like, you have to, like, okay, well, you gotta come get this now. I mean, if that's what you want to do, do it.
I like a good prank, but not the detriment of somebody. He's already
no. He's
no.
not.
I mean, it's a big moment in your life, and you know that was kind of fucked up because you're free falling on live TV, and someone makes a call like that, and you're like, shit, that wasn't real.
I'm gonna tell you something though before I leave. You would have to pay me more than whatever his rookie contract is going to be to live in fucking Cleveland for 5 years, and I'll just leave with that.
Luckily for Shedeur, he only has to live there to the end of July. Then he's free to sign wherever he wants.
Perfect, and that is a perfect segue. Gentlemen, it has been a pleasure being on with you. I must go eat dinner and humble my son once again. Take care, guys.
Thanks, man. Good to see you.
Later. Peace, Matt. All right, other draft picks. We talk about other guys.
So that was really good to have Matt here for that conversation. Scott, you haven't said anything in a while. I spent a lot of time just basically saying that your evaluation of Shedeur was a little too positive, in my opinion. So you get the last word on this. Go ahead.
It's not. It's just I think maybe it's just a philosophical thing. It's hard to use. If he's not a first round pick, he's useless kind of stuff. And don't take this personally, but there's a habit where, I mean, you have called every general manager except for maybe one or two,
6
absolute
good ones.
stone morons. Right?
They are. Yes.
And so we can't call all these guys the dumbest people on the planet and then say, but if one of these guys makes this guy a first round pick, then we all must pay attention to him. That doesn't make any, those are divergent things.
No, they aren't divergent things because draft capital is directly tied to opportunity. If Shedeur had gone to the Saints at 40, we expect him to start for them this year. Like we expect Tyler Shuck to start this year, right? The fact that he was the second quarterback the Browns took, that's why I said he doesn't live in Cleveland, because he'll be cut in camp, right? So, like, you know, the draft capital does matter for that. So even
I understand that, but we can't. You can't. I don't think Shedeur has any less chance starting in Cleveland than Dylan Gabriel or any of these other clowns. Deshaun's not playing this year. To me, I mean, if he's there, he may have more opportunity in Cleveland because you know what's going to happen. Cleveland's going to throw him to the wolves once they start losing, because they're not tied to any of these guys long term. And all I'm saying is that if the Giants would have traded up to pick 25 for Shedeur, then everything you said about him not being a first round draft pick with as much, as there is it all just simply goes away because one GM who we think is a boob made that choice, right?
But that is because if we expect Jackson Dart for the Giants to be starting at the end of this season, like once it's clear Russ can't cut or whatever, Dart's going to finish out the year. We expect the same if they'd done it for Shedeur. We think the same for Shedeur. We don't think there's any risk that Jackson Dart's not making the team. Right.
Correct. Yeah.
Shedeur actually has that risk. There are 5 quarterbacks on the roster right now, and he's the last one hired. Like, there's real risk he's not making the team out of camp.
I don't know. I don't agree. I just don't agree with that.
Okay, I'll give you an example.
Shedeur Sanders, from a cost standpoint.
Shedeur Sanders is a better prospect coming out of college than Kenny Pickett.
Yes.
Flat out.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett went 20th overall to Pittsburgh. He got to start there for 2 seasons because he was a first-round pick. We thought Kenny Pickett was horrible. We said it before, we said it then, we said it after. We were consistent the entire time, right? Yeah. And then he was horrible. But he still got almost 2 full seasons to start because he was the 20th overall pick. Like, the draft capital matters in predicting what's going to happen with the players because draft capital directly correlates to opportunity and leeway and leash given by the organization. The reason that second round and third round, fourth round QBs tend not to work out is that they never get an opportunity or the leash or the leeway to be able to do so. And
yeah, that's true, but sometimes they're just not very good.
Right. But so, like, Cleve likes to point out all the first round quarterbacks that have been drafted that are horrible, of which there are all the time.
Yeah.
But the thing is, not every quarterback drafted into the first round is a good quarterback. But pretty much all the starting quarterbacks are drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
And Jalen Hurts should have been a first round pick. Jalen Hurts actually suffered from some of the things people are saying Shedeur suffered from, right? Geno Smith also was like a fringe first round pick, and it took a little while for him to get his opportunities and get his feet settled and ready to go. Tyler Shuck gets to start this year. He'll be replaced by a first round pick next year, and he's out, right?
Yeah, I mean, as he should.
Brock Purdy went to the NFC title game. No, he went to the Super Bowl once, the NFC title game once, and we're like, should they pay him? Like, it really does matter once you aren't taken in the first round at quarterback. After that, it is just all kind of like just a random assortment of whoever. Now, you can get really good backups back there, so they do matter in that sense. But if you're not a first round pick at quarterback, like, you just should not be expected to be a long-term starter ever. It happens so rarely.
Yeah, it's just, do you think that the Browns were in the market for a first-round quarterback?
If there was another one good enough besides Campbell.
In this class, Dave.
Yeah. Deion called in a favor to the Haslams. He's friends with the Haslams. He called in a favor and says, hey, can you just take my kid here? Like I am not hard-pressed to say that happened, where he went to
Did you guys see the video of the war room after
they were not happy?
Steve, did you see it?
No. So then I guess it justifies my position.
It's exactly what you said.
I'm gonna do an impression of Kevin Stefanski as they're announcing the Shedeur Sanders pick. Okay, this was him.
Yeah, they both looked. Wow. They both did. I mean, the GM.
Wow.
The coach looked. Shit!
You're kidding.
Because it makes him look a little.
I gotta look this
up. The whole thing looks really suspicious. You took Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, the call came in. Yeah, the call came in.
Gabriel has no business getting drafted. He just doesn't.
Yeah. So Ev says in the 5th round he's only guaranteed like 2 or 3 mil. So Ev, if the reports about his 2 interviews at the Saints and the Giants are true, he fucked off like $30 million. He literally, like, you just let that, you just put it into a shredder and says, I don't need that kind of money.
So
Paul.
Yeah, if without all the if he had just aced his interviews, I still don't think he goes in the first round. Because if he was a first round talent, he would have gone in the first round anyways. And at the worst, he goes to the Saints at 40.
The ship is sailed that he's a first round quarterback. I kind of digested what Scott was saying, and we all agree that it should have took till the 5th round. But I didn't realize what you were saying, Dave, about like after the first round, because again, quarterbacks aren't picked like it's not rapid fire picks. So if you don't get picked in the first 2 rounds, then like who gives a shit where you go at that point? Like you're like, okay, hopefully I'll get a look at something. But I'm thinking, if Lamar sat to what, the 29th pick? Am I right?
Yeah,
saying that?
Or 30, whatever.
Lamar get picked.
He was the last pick.
He was ready
to
coach. 32. Yeah. So he's like, shit. They're gonna close the door on me. But
that's
again,
a good example too, though.
I think
as you bring him up, Cleve, he had his mom as his agent, and Deion's been Shedeur's agent, and that's a good kind of jumping off point for a little side conversation around the value of a good agent, right?
So
Yes.
the thing is
Dave,
that
Dave had me go
ahead,
look
please.
up stuff. Yeah, Dave had so when I went back through our texts and stuff like that, I said, you know what? Let me go back and look at some film or highlights and stuff like that. And most of his highlights were tied to Travis Hunter, right? I was like, damn, Dave's kind of right. Like maybe he's not this first or second round guy. But then I didn't realize what Dave was saying until tonight is that once they get past the first round, they're like, fuck do I care where you go, bro?
And the only
Like,
pushback I have on the entire thing is that none of us know where Shedeur would have gone had he interviewed well. We don't know that.
we don't, but we also know he's not going third overall to the Giants. Like if he had the talent,
Yeah.
for that, he goes there.
Does anybody remember the Penix conversation from last year at this time? No, everybody was floored that Penix went where he did.
Yes, and now in hindsight, it was very clear that was a horrible pick, as the Atlanta Falcons once again this year made the worst move of the draft, which we'll get to next year.
We
Next week's NFC.
We knew it was horrible when we saw them trying to explain to Arthur Blank what we just did.
Yeah,
he's standing in the door.
I get all that, but that's my point: is that teams have done this stuff with quarterbacks. With good quarterbacks in round one, even teams that have good quarterbacks. So this idea that Shedeur was deserving of being a third round pick as opposed to being a first round pick, I don't know. I don't know that we can. I mean, you can say it, but okay. I don't know.
Part of the reason that Michael Penix and Bo Nix were first round picks last year and picked in the top 12 is because everybody knew this year's quarterback class wasn't going to be that good. And everybody knew Shedeur was going to be in it. Right. He was like the one thing everybody knew was going to be in this class.
Yeah.
Right. And part of the reason why a lot of quarterbacks fell is because next year is going to be better. Like if Shedeur was an elite level talent, like the NFL will look past a lot for an elite quarterback. I mean, they will look past, again, John Elway, Eli Manning being a jerk with the Mannings behind him, right? They will look past Deshaun Watson's transgressions. They will look past Ben Roethlisberger doing all sorts of stuff, right? Michael Vick came out of prison back into the league, which I think he should have. He served his time, but still the league was like, great, welcome back, right? Because those are actual elite talents.
Yeah.
If Shedeur Sanders had everything the exact same about the way he processes football and his arm accuracy and Justin Fields' athletic gifts, he's the first overall pick in this class. He could have walked into the Saints 2 days late with his pants off and been like, you're trading up for me 3 first-round picks. They'd be like, oh, it's Justin Fields who throws like Shedeur. We're going to do that. But Shedeur ain't that. So he's never going to go that high. I'm sure cratering the interviews hurt him, but they didn't take him out of the top 5. If he was the top 5 talent, he goes in the top 5.
So
jerk or not.
Both of you, the Ewers kid from Texas didn't get drafted, right?
He went in the 7th round to the Dolphins.
Is his name?
Yeah.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're
7th round.
pretty much equivalent level prospects, in my opinion. Shedeur is better. But
than the Ewers kid? Okay.
Yeah, but not by some insane amount. Not like yours isn't the 7th, the Shedeur's the 5th overall pick.
Do you think Jackson Dart is that much better a prospect than Shedeur Sanders?
I do, because I think Jackson Dart suffers from his biggest deficiency, in my opinion. And again, you do know more about the stuff than I do, but from what I know is that Lane Kiffin runs a fake offense, kind of like Tennessee does. What Jackson Dart's biggest issue is that he only has to process half the field at a time on every single play. But I think it's easier to teach Jackson Dart to process better, because you can't teach Shedeur to be a better athlete. He's a fine athlete, but he's not like an elite level athlete. And that tendency to take all those sacks, it's just the kill. I mean, even Joe Burrow still suffers from that. Like, it's really hard to break that. I do think Jackson Dart's arm is fine. Shedeur is more accurate, but all in all, yes, I think Jackson Dart was clearly the second best quarterback prospect in this class.
Are you only saying that because he went in the first round? And
no,
what would you be saying if Jackson Dart went in round 2 to New Orleans, where Tyler Shock went?
I think whoever New Orleans took in that spot, they're taking a starter. So I would have been like, yeah, fine. If Jackson Dart was the second QB off the board, but it's the 40th to New Orleans, it would be the same thing as in this situation. I don't care that the Giants traded up for him. They're desperate. They're all getting fired after this year, right? They needed to do something. But him being the second quarterback off the board is very reasonable. Him being a late first-round pick, early second-round pick is reasonable. If he had fallen to the first pick in the second round at Cleveland, that would have been a lot different than some team trading up for him. But Jackson Dart, before the draft, I thought was the second best quarterback. On draft night, as the Giants are taking Dart, I'm saying he's a better athlete. I think he's got just as good as an arm. His issues are processing the thing. Like I was saying it as it was happening before we knew Shedeur was going to fall to the 5th round, right? Like Dart is just a better all-around prospect than Shedeur. Shedeur just isn't. He's fine. Like he's perfectly fine as a prospect, but that's it.
We can get away from this. Last thing for me, to me, it's like I don't know how we can have such a bold stance that Dart's so much better a prospect than Shedeur when I don't think there's anything there's any evidence that he is or isn't. With the exception of he went where
there will be.
Yeah,
there will be tape.
Also, so there's
you're a few months out from that.
Yes, there's a couple.
There already is tape. We're talking about them as prospects.
There's a couple of reasons. One,
okay.
Jackson Dart played it just at a much higher level of competition playing in the SEC than he do in the Big 12. Right? Jackson Dart won more games at an SEC program than Shedeur did at a Big 12 program. Jackson Dart put up equivalent counting stats or better without Travis Hunter. Right? Jackson Dart is also he was like a 4-star, really like Elite 11 quarterback, went to USC to start, then transfers to Ole Miss. Jackson Dart also kept getting better year after year as well, whereas Shedeur, to me, has kind of been the same all 3 years and hasn't been getting better every year.
How did Dart get better year over year over year? How? Like in what way?
Just in the way he was playing the game, in the way the team was playing, in his command of the offense. Like his
Scott's looking up something.
Tape,
he's asking.
His 2024 tape is far better than his 2023 tape. You don't need to be Scott Bischoff to see that. Like he's way better this last year. Shedeur is kind of what he is, and if he's not going to keep getting any better, right? If they're both, let's say that right now Jackson Dart is a 77 on Madden and Shedeur is a 73, but Dart's potential is a B+ and Shedeur's is a C+. Then as prospects, they're actually 3 rounds apart, right? That's why Jalen Hurts is a second-round pick didn't make any sense. Anybody watched Jalen Hurts in college was like, this kid just keeps getting better every year. Like Lamar Jackson was the same thing. Lamar kept getting better every single year, right? Shedeur did it. Shedeur is probably going to be the same quarterback 2 years from now as he was at Colorado this year. Is that going to cut it in the NFL when it barely cut it at Colorado? I don't think so. Now, also, full disclosure, I thought Shedeur Sanders should have been the 3rd quarterback taken in this draft. Because Tyler Shuck is 26 and has no knees. Like, if I was drafting this draft, Shedeur have been the 3rd quarterback I would have taken, but I also wouldn't have taken him until sometime in round 3, right? Because I think the quarterbacks in this class are very good. So I do think that is kind of ridiculous how far he fell, and a lot of it is due to the interviews. So I'm not trying to say he's like a total trash prospect, but there's a definite gulf between him and Jackson Dart. And between him and Cam Ward, it's another stratosphere. Cam Ward will tell you himself.
Yeah. Cam Ward walked in and asked for a playbook. Like, did you guys see that at the presser?
Yeah.
He walks into the facility. Warren Moon gives him the jersey, right? Gives him his jersey, said he could wear the jersey, and then he asked for a playbook. He's like, I gotta go. I got a playbook to go study. All football, all business.
Good luck to him. I think we should put a pin in this one and come back to it in 3 years.
I mean, are we going to be doing USFL segments then? Because
sure,
Jesus.
I mean,
I agree with Scott. I think Shedeur has a better chance of playing where he is because he can beat out Levis. Old man Flacco is just a hit away from being.
I mean, there's no reason that Dylan Gabriel is even on that roster. That's nonsense.
Yeah,
I think Dylan Gabriel.
I didn't even count that guy.
So Dylan Gabriel's a big issue is that he's like 5 inches too short.
Yeah.
He's like a normal height person, right? Like if
So
he were
so is
6'4",
I mean, Kyler.
yeah, but Kyler's an insane athlete. If Dylan Gabriel, everything about him was the same, but he was 6'4" instead, he actually goes where Shuck goes, and he's starting for the Saints. So I think it makes sense that they should give Gabriel a chance in the league. But yeah, Gabriel's out of the league in 2 years. Shedeur is probably out of the league in 2 years because they're 5th-round draft picks, and that's kind of what happens. Now, if Shedeur
Gabriel went in the third round.
What's that?
Gabriel went in the third round.
Yeah, but he went third round to
yes.
Cleveland, which is where quarterbacks go to die. So that's like a 5th round for a normal team. So,
Dude was in college for 6 years.
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, Scott, no one's questioning like your expertise. Like we actually.
It's not about me at all. I'm not.
Yeah,
it's not about
Dave
me
just
at all.
doesn't.
God knows I've been wrong about quarterbacks over and over and over.
If I'm
just saying getting such a bold stance when we don't have enough information to take that stance is where we are going to make mistakes.
But to me, we do have enough information. Sorry, Clint, give me 1 second here. Okay, we do have enough information. Let's just take a look at the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. How many of their traits does Shedeur share? Accuracy. That's it. That's the only one. He's not as athletic. He's not as accomplished in college. He didn't have the counting stats. He doesn't have the draft capital. Like
Dave.
It's just not one of them. He's not one of them.
You just mentioned a bunch of guys who went either in round 2 or at the very end of round 1, with the exception of Burrow. And if we had this conversation right after the draft for all of those guys, we would crush them all.
Burrow was first. Allen was 7th. Mahomes was 10th. Lamar was 32nd. Hurts was in the 2nd round, but never should have been. And if Jalen Hurts came out this year, he would have been the first overall pick.
But we're saying never should have been, but based on what he's done in the NFL. We weren't saying never should have been the day after he got drafted.
Yes, but it is now 5 years later.
Everybody thinks Mahomes was a reach at that pick. Everybody thought Allen was a reach at that pick. Everybody did. Right,
but we now have the benefit of having seen what makes it quarterbacks in the NFL now. So as we're trying to predict who 5 years from now are we talking about, we're probably talking about people who share traits with the great quarterbacks now. And besides accuracy, Shedeur doesn't share any of them. He's not even close.
I think you're wrong. But
he can layer them throws. If there was and one for quarterbacks, he's on the mixtape. But
so Scott, let's do this. Dave likes to play this game where if you had put Shedeur on Texas, would they have been a better team? If you put Shedeur on Oregon, would they have been a better team?
Both places. Yes.
If you put Shedeur on who's in the college Georgia, would they have been a better team? Like giving him that talent pool. Yeah. So to Dave's point, having Travis Hunter, if he didn't have Travis Hunter, like does he go to Colorado and be that guy?
Right.
Because he had to leave Jackson State. To get to the NFL, he had to leave Jackson State.
Right. The question is, if we flipped Cam Ward and Shedeur, put Shedeur in Miami, is Miami better last year? They are not. If we put Shedeur in Ole Miss, is Ole Miss better? They are not.
How many games did Miami win last year?
Like 10. They blew the ACC title game to get into the playoff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like they're, you have to compare them to the people we want to compare them to. Now, like, yes, if he flip him with Quinn Ewers, I think Shedeur is better than Quinn Ewers. I think he's better than Dylan Gabriel. I don't think a lot of people question that. But if we put Shedeur Sanders on Michigan's national championship team in place of JJ McCarthy, they're not winning a national title. Hell, if we flip him with Will Howard, they're probably not winning. And if we flip him with Stetson Bennett from those back-to-back Georgia teams, Georgia's probably not winning. Right?
I don't know. Let's just put a pin in this one and revisit it. Because, we
will.
Generally, we're wrong about quarterbacks all the time.
No, and to your point, Scott, to put a pin in this, what's the kid that went to the ex-Jet that went to Minnesota?
Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold. Yeah. He wasn't great in the NFL. Where he went, the Jets didn't do him any favors, but then he had a flash, and he's showing, and he could probably make a little bit of coin doing that.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, I would have taken Shedeur over anybody on Michigan last year. Even with all the hoopla.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But like if we just allowed Arch and Sellers and Aller to be in this draft this year, they all go ahead and Shedeur too, even if he is the interviews. That's all I'm saying. Okay. We'll put a pin in this. We'll come back to it in 3 years when we want to talk about the Michigan Panthers versus Arlington Renegades. So we don't have a lot of time left to get through those draft classes. So Scott, I'm going to ask you, AFC, who had your favorite draft class? If you say Cleveland, you're fired.
No. I thought the Raiders had a really good draft.
Okay.
I thought the Titans had a really good draft.
Mm-hmm.
But my guess is you probably didn't care for the Raiders draft all that much because it involved Janty.
I didn't care for it too much, but I think Ashton Genty as a pick is worth going high in the draft. I just think bad teams shouldn't take running backs. I think good teams should take running backs when they're available.
Agreed.
It's definitely to mask. It's definitely to mask the passing game. That's why they took this kid, because they don't have a quarterback that can stretch the field. So they're going to just bludgeon teams and then get to the red zone.
See, I disagree. I think taking Genty opens up the passing game because they got Geno there now with Brock Bowers. They've got
I forgot Geno went there. I forgot Geno's there.
And Brock Bowers had 114 catches
Jacoby Myers. He's a good route run. They have that offense suddenly looks like, well, shit.
Yeah, like Genty completes that offense, but it doesn't complete them competing with the Chargers and the Chiefs.
The other team, I thought the Jets, Cleve. I think the Jets had a really good draft.
Me too.
And I thought the Patriots did. The Titans had a good draft too.
Patriots were my favorite, actually.
Yeah, I mean they got dudes in like late round 3 or in round 5 who probably will play for them a lot. Maybe not in year 1, but down the road. Like Jared Wilson, the center from Georgia, he's going to play for them. He's a good player. And then Brady Swinson, the edge player from LSU. I don't know how he falls to round. Maybe he's got medical or whatever it is. I don't know. But they had a good class. Travion Henderson's an intriguing pick there. It's that dude, just from like a put him on the field on third down standpoint, because he's great in pass protection. He's gonna be he and Drake May are gonna get along.
Hang on, Scott, 1 second. Cleve, Travion Henderson's the kid who took that 80-yard screen there to the house for Ohio State against Texas right before halftime in the playoff. I know you remember.
Okay.
And he is an assassin. As a running back in pass pro, if you're a linebacker and you're blitzing, you better know where he is, or you're going to wake up at some point in the future. He's fun to watch.
Swivel.
Yeah, he's fun to watch in pass pro. I thought the Jets getting Armand Membo was kind of a safer, it's fine. But getting Mason Taylor in round 2 is really good. He's a really good, really polished football player. Mm-hmm. Azaria Thomas, where they got him at the end of round 3, and I know he's slow, but
he's perfect for Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, it just does he have enough long speed to hang? I don't know, because he's more of like a 4.6 guy. But they got him with the 73rd pick, so it's fine. And then they took a really fast receiver from Georgia in round 4, Arian Smith, and then they got a pretty, who I would say, he's not Brian Branch, but they got a versatile safety in round 4 in Malachi Moore from Alabama. So I thought the Jets had a really good draft. Those were the ones that I liked. Dave, what do you think?
So I thought the Jets had a really good draft as well. I love the Patriots draft. I am just not on the Will Campbell hate at all. I think the kid's a natural tackle. I think he'll be a tackle, no problem, even with his weird short little T-Rex arms. I don't think it's an issue at all. I think there's like 4 years of solid tape. He's just a baller. 4-year starter at LSU, going against monsters in the SEC game in and game out. So I think the Patriots if the Patriots are good again in 2027, we'll look back at this draft class combined with Drake May and being like, that's when this all started, right?
Totally agree. This feels like what the Lions' first draft class, right? I mean, out of different groups of players.
Yes.
But like you got your foundational tackle.
Yes.
You've got a an offensive weapon in Travion Henderson.
Yep.
You've got some
Kyle
depth.
Williams.
Kyle Williams is a good player. Who are the bad ones? Who do you think had bad draft classes in the AFC?
Before we get there, I do want to mention my actual top class in the AFC. And Cleve, you're never going to believe this. It was, in fact, the Baltimore Ravens.
Stunner.
The Ravens just continue to know how to draft. So first at 27th, they just stay there and get Malachi Starks, a ready-to-play safety from Georgia, who is just immediately going to start for them and allow them to not have to worry about Kyle Hamilton. No longer needs to worry about anything on the field besides wreck and shop wherever he wants now.
He gets to be a free safety, and he'll do damage. Yeah.
Yes, Kyle Hamilton's about to have his best season ever because they drafted Malachi Starks. In the second round, they take Mike Green out of Marshall. Now, here's the thing. There's like a 30% chance Mike Green is just going straight to prison. But I think
you texted that, and I inappropriately laughed at it.
But I think at the 59th overall pick, that's an okay gamble for a good team to make. It's like, okay, 30% of the time he's off to Leavenworth. The other 70% of the time, we're giving him a life coach, right? A babysitter, and he gets to play. He would have been a top, without these issues, he's a top 15 pick.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really good. I think that they took in the 6th round, they had like 47 picks in the 6th round, and they took this defensive tackle named Peebles.
Oh yeah. He's a dude.
And should have been like a 3rd round pick. They got him in the 6th round.
Cleve, he's 6'1" and 290 pounds. And it's not like he's a crazy athlete, but he's impossible to block because of leverage and stuff. Damn. And his hand usage is silly. So watching him is fun because he's like a wrecking ball on the interior, and he's great with his hands. Like he's a very refined player. He's fun. I would have. Okay. I thought he would be in that round 3 range, but this was a weird draft. Like some players fell a long way. Maybe he was too undersized for some other teams, but very difficult player to block from Virginia Tech.
And notice, Cleve, that's 3 players at all 3 levels of the defense again for the Ravens. Like it just doesn't stop with them. They had 6 picks in the 6th round because they don't manipulate this compensatory pick thing. Just phenomenal. My least favorite picks. I should mention because shout out to Tony, watches the show. Kansas City had a great draft as well. Just very annoying. Least favorite, Cleveland. I didn't like, even though they did pick up the 1st round pick next year. I thought they really blew a lot of the picks that they got from Jacksonville in terms of positional value. Even though I like
running backs bother you.
Yeah, like taking a running back in the 4th will never bother me. But they're not good, the team.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be taking an off-ball linebacker first pick of the 2nd round or pick 36, taking Quinshawn Judkins. Like those need to be like cornerback, edge rusher, offensive lineman, right?
Foundational pieces.
Right. You're going to let added value from Jacksonville. I think they blew it. I didn't like that. But they do get 2 firsts next year when it's time to find a new quarterback. The Bengals were horrible.
Yeah.
They got your boy Shamar Stewart at 17th, which is fine.
Yeah.
Then in the 2nd round, Cleve, they took Demetrius Knight Jr., who was a quarterback and wide receiver until last year when he was a linebacker at South Carolina. He will turn 26 during this upcoming season.
Yes, that was a very strange pick because he's raw and he needs to grow as a player. But by the time he does, he's going to be like 30. And then they took another linebacker in round 4.
Yeah, a guy named Barrett Carter out of Clemson who just never did anything of note in school.
Yeah,
they took their only running back of note on the roster is Chase Brown, who I like as a player, but he's not a load bearing running back. He needs to be part of a good. He could be a 65-35, but you need a 35. Right now they have the shambling corpse of Zach Moss, the 6 feet in the ground corpse of Samaje Perine. And in the 6th round, they take Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech.
2 dust ball adjacents? Is that what you're saying?
They're not even adjacent. Like they are fully into they are fully into territory. Like just fully into dust ball.
You like Taj Brooks?
No, Taj Brooks is like if Chase Brown spent the last 2 years eating nothing but Krispy Kremes.
So he let himself go a little.
Oh, I don't think so. I think he's in great shape for his size. He's just big and slow and a bruiser.
If Chase Brown let himself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I thought the Bengals were horrible. And honestly, I think everybody in Miami is getting fired.
That was a weird draft for them, but they had a first and a second, and then they didn't have anything until like the middle of round 5.
Yeah,
So,
but the roster is garbage. You're picking 13th trade back.
Yes. and then they took Kenneth Grant, who we all kind of like, but how impactful is he going to be? Not really in year 1. I mean, it's going to take time, right? And then they took, I think, Sivanea that was a fine pick. He'll play for I think he'll play for a while.
And he'll start right away.
Yeah, he'll start. He'll play for a while. But yeah, I mean, they didn't get much help, and that's a team. Even though I picked them to win the Super Bowl last year, that's a team that had a pretty down year. I don't know what Denver did. Like, Denver confused me a little too.
Oh, see, I think I liked what Denver did. Maybe not all the way through the draft.
Yeah,
but
their first 2 picks were fine.
Yeah, Jahdae Barron, like, to get you the first corner off the board when you already have Patrick Surtain and Riley Moss, and you have to go through Kansas City, makes a lot of sense to me.
It does, and I like Barron a lot. If he would have went 6th overall to Vegas, I would have thought that's totally reasonable.
Yeah,
because he's really good.
Yeah, and then who was their second pick?
RJ Harvey.
He was he was a second round pick. Yeah,
great pick. It was 660. But I mean, it's in this class. There's a bunch of running backs. It's just, But after that, they took a receiver.
Denver drafted their starting running back in the second round here, RJ Harvey. Get ready. You're going to love this guy. Little undersized, really fast, coming out of UCF. By week 2, you're going to be like, who's this kid on Denver? Who's this running back on Denver? I like him. He's got, I can already hear the week 2 recap episode in my head.
Oh, no, I hear you. I think he's going to have every chance to be pretty productive there. It's just that then after
the 2 running backs.
Well, they don't really, I mean, they have Jaleel McLaughlin. Who's who else did they have at running back? Like, Harvey better. Okay, that's a reasonable. I mean, he's a big-bodied player. I would want him handling all the heavy physical stuff.
Taj Brooks looks like Usain Bolt next to Audric Estime.
I know he ran like a 4.7. At the end of or in the middle of round 7, they took Pat Bryant from Illinois,
round 3.
Is like
middle of round 3.
Middle of round 3, yeah. And then they had they took an edge player, Savion Jones, and then they took a punter in round 6, and then they took a basketball conversion. No, it's round 6 and 7, so whatever. But they took a dude who he caught 4 passes for 4 touchdowns last year. That's it in round 7. Caleb Warner
got drafted.
Popped in the spreadsheet though. That green was just popping right there. Touchdown rate on catches.
Hey, this could be Sean Payton's Jimmy Graham. We don't know. We'll find out. Yeah,
I didn't think about that.
It was a weird draft. It was a strange draft. I don't think anybody totally flunked the draft. I think the Bengals probably had the worst draft class of all the teams. We'll get into the more curious decisions. Atlanta made the decision that's just like, what are we doing?
Remember last year when Atlanta signed Kirk Cousins to $900 gajillion and drafted Michael Penix anyways? They did something this year that was that was so stupid, it's actually not even defensible. But there's no devil's advocate for it. You can't even be and that's what gives me so much pause about the Penix pick last year. It's like, these are the same morons who did this thing this year. So that'll be next week. We're really going to get into that. But they traded up. They traded their first round pick next year to move up to 26 to take a defensive end who probably would have been there when they picked in the second round.
Wow. And the thing is that pick is probably going to be in the top 15-ish next year.
And if Penix sucks, it's going to be in the top 5.
It could. And it's like the Rams are in a really good spot now because they're going to have their own pick. They're going to have that pick. But it's like you gave up a first-round pick and then some to go up to pick 26 to take a question. I don't know. We'll get into that next week.
Yeah, that'll be next week. Cleve, is there any other AFC team that you wanted to hear about before we get out of here?
No, but I got a question for both of you before we go.
Okay.
Have you guys been on the internet watching this debate about the 100 men versus the a silverback gorilla?
I'm fascinated to hear your.
This is
your
going to be
take.
shocking, but I have thoughts. But I want to hear your
Yeah,
guys
so
first.
I did a TikTok. Yeah, I did a TikTok on it. And then being a trainer, obviously, I went to the measurables. Like what I know about silverbacks before I went back to recant what they can do. I'm convinced now that 100 men won't be able to take this thing down because people think
No
100
chance.
people is a lot of people. It is a lot of people, but it's not a lot of people, right? The bite force of a human is about 130 psi. A silverback full grown is like 1300.
More than a
Grip
lion.
force is equally about 1300, right? I think a hyena is the only one that's higher than both these, a lion and a silverback, right? Their bone density, skin, hide, hair, like me punching that thing, I'm gonna break my hand versus making it give it like a tickle, right? The teeth, and I think as far as humans go, after the first wave of maybe 10 guys that can get in there and they're mangled to death, the rest of the guys are taking off. They're not gonna engage.
Has
in that. You see
anybody
someone get their
ever-
arm ripped off the socket?
You guys ever watched a group of people struggle with like 100-pound dog?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so there is a way that 100. It says 100 men, but it'd be 100 humans. It doesn't actually have to be men in the scenario where humans can win, because our ability to damage the gorilla is not actual. Like nobody can damage it, so it doesn't matter if it's The Rock or like Betty White.
Yeah,
like,
barehanded.
Betty White throwing
Barehanded.
Yeah, but here's how I think they could do it. Now, again, if you just get 100 random people against a gorilla and everybody knows, including the gorilla, this fight is to the death, it's over. I think if 100 humans charged a gorilla in the jungle, the gorilla would flee. I think it would be scared of 100 humans running at it.
No. So take that part out of it. I understand
but
that.
The scenario is
any
all
animal,
beings.
but take that part out. Yeah, we'll fight, right? In a
Yes.
confined area, so no one can run. And this thing can't climb a tree or whatever. It's just gonna stand there. Have you guys seen like the simulation, like when it's just like running through a crowd, mauling guys? It has one guy like hitting other guys with that one guy.
Yes,
I actually think that that is terrifying.
Like he's gonna beat other humans to death with somebody else's leg. Yes.
Yes. So 100 random people. There's no question. Like everybody knows they're fighting. The gorilla wins. If we could pick the 100 people we wanted and train them for this event, and the 100 people knew that between 20 and 50 of them were never leaving alive, the humans win. That's the only scenario.
That's the part.
Because what we would do, we'd have first to be able to strategize, to be able to like the game plan for when things go wrong. Secondly, we would know to like balance out who we have. So like we don't just want a bunch of big dudes. We do want like 20 sumo wrestlers, and they're the first wave, and they're not making it out, right? But we also want like 10 Simone Bileses. We need people who can flip up onto the back of this thing's neck and get at its eyes, right? Like
you have thought about this way too much, Dave.
The only chance humans have is to blind it. Because
this is why this is good. This is why it's good.
And its eyes don't have the same sort of protection as the rest of it. The only chance is to blind it. Once it's blinded, whatever humans are left alive, now we start doing our Gregorian chant. So all it hears is the chanting from this encirclement, and it has no idea. In and out, hypnotized, whatever. It's blinded. It's just swinging like wild. Eventually, it's going to tire out because it's going to keep swinging because it's blinded and it's scared by the noise. It's going to tire out to the point to where now the humans, again, the next few humans that get in there are also going to die. But eventually, those humans.
First wave is done. First two waves.
All the sumo wrestlers are gone.
Complete.
Like our 20 sumo guys are gone. But all they're there to do is to bum rush it from every direction, hitting around a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're there to sacrifice their giant sumo body so Simone can flip up onto its back and start clawing at the eyes. And we need multiple Simone.
I'm a trainer, right?
We'll grab the first Simone and chuck her 500 yards. So we need like 20 Simones to keep being able to do it.
A full-blown silverback can uproot a tree from the roots, right? Because it can deadlift like I think it can deadlift like 1,800 pounds, and it could actually thrust roughly between 1,800 and 2,000 pounds, like, which is crazy, right? That an animal can do this, and they're vegetarian, like
And
they're
them
vegetarian, like
female
they don't eat
gorillas gotta
protein,
be,
they don't, yeah, yeah,
pounding. Woo.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, they're vegetarian. So my thing is that you got 10 men that can't rip a tree out the ground. You put 10 big, like Eddie Halls, they probably still can't pull a tree out the ground at the roots that this thing could do. So with that kind of strength, brute force strength, Dave, your point of blinding it probably is a great idea, because you would have to like confuse it and then take it down. Humans haven't evolved. I mean, our brains evolved us to be this, but when it comes to like in the wild, you drop me in the jungle right now, dude, I make it a day, if that. You drop me in the jungle and leave me to fend for myself, I'm probably gonna live a day, right?
Oh, the
It's
first
crazy,
bug
man.
that
It's
crawls
crazy
on
debate.
me, I'm looking for some
Yeah.
sort of, I need to find a berry that's going to kill me, because
Well, Cleve, I hate to tell you, but as
Exactly.
somebody who moved to this country, Donald Trump might be trying to send you to the jungle now, so be careful. But the thing is, the advantage that we have over the animal kingdom, aside from our brains, our ability to use tools and think complex thoughts and all that, is our endurance. We're incredible endurance athletes compared to most animals. So that's why groups of us could like hunt a woolly mammoth back in the day. We wouldn't attack it. We would just keep chasing it till it got too exhausted and it died.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but there's no way to make that work here against the gorilla. So the trick against the gorilla is to mitigate its ability to use its strength. But if every human is concerned about preserving their own life, every human will die. Like 20 to 50 of them have to know they're not coming out of this. It's unfortunately
I'm 242.
It's kind of like D-Day.
Yeah.
Like if every person storming Normandy was like, I have to survive, there's no way you could actually do it. Like you have to know going into it, like, you know what, this is probably it. I think like this is probably it for me. And then some could come through. But if every human's like, I have to survive this fight with the gorilla, they're all dead within like 10 minutes.
All right, I gotta go. I'm sorry that I have to go.
You're good, Scott.
All right, I'll see you.
Yeah. You're good, bro.
Good chat. See you guys
later.
So, sorry, Scott did put the private chat. He had to go. I didn't see it. I was too busy talking about Simone Biles calling out eyes.
Yeah, we've been like debating it at work like crazy. I made a TikTok about it. It's interesting to me. Some people went on a really, really deep dive on it. Like, is it 20 black guy? I mean, 100 black guy. Like, what's the mix? And I'm like, dude, we just said 20 humans, right? 20 humans. Can 20 humans take this thing down? But yeah, I mean, just the raw strength. The first guy, he's done. Like that first person that steps up in the first wave, good luck.
Yeah. But that's why
because you're catching this thing fresh.
That's why the strategy is so important. And all these strategies that are like, yeah, we're just gonna have a bunch of heavy, like huge guys jump on its limbs. No, you're not.
Yeah, you do. You're not. Yeah, if this thing could like 4 guys couldn't, like 4 sumo wrestlers probably couldn't pin it down.
Right.
Like if he just jumped on his back, he's just like
the equivalent is like 100 house cats versus a human.
Yeah.
Right. Like if 4 house cats jump on each of your arms, right, it would hurt because we don't have gorilla skin, but all we're doing is just banging them together like this. Like they're not going to kill us, right? And imagine if you gave us like gorilla skin and bone density and stuck 100 house cats on us. Like, what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, it would be very, very hard. It would require a lot of training.
Would you bet it? Would you bet it? Like, what would you bet? Like, give me like your 4 odds on it. Like your 4 bets that you would do on it.
The bet would have to be
like over under or whatever.
Over under humans to survive would be the bet. And it would depend on the makeup of the humans, their training and whatever. But there's no, if it was just a random, we're taking 100.
No. Let's say, like you said, we're gonna pick 5 sets of 20s, and it's gonna be like 20 Simone Biles, like 20 gym athletes, 20 strongmen, 20 linebackers, defensive ends, tackles, shit like that. then you're gonna, because you're picking athletic, strong people. Like, so you're not picking the general population person. So I'm giving you the best chances against something like this, right? So let's say 20, 5 sets of 20 of whatever you can come up with, and someone says, okay, odds of survival bet. Let's say the 60% of these people make it or not. That's a bet. Gorilla in 6. Everyone.
If the humans in this scenario, are the humans forced to fight to the death, or can they quit?
No. Everyone has to fight to the death. Like, this is, like I said, when the guy laid out the debate, like he said, because you think about what you know about the animal kingdom. Like, if you corner anything, if they see a massive number of things coming at it, they're gonna freak out and run, right? They're gonna try to get away until you corner it and force it to fight you, right? So all things being equal, this is, hey, okay, we're in an octagon, 100 people is in there, the gorilla's in the middle, right? Go. So like, and these people know they're there. It's either like you make it out or you don't. There's no like you get mauled and they're like, okay, I'm out. Because again, once one guy goes down with the torn labrum and his right arm ripped off, me seeing it, I'm like, shit, do I really want that?
Yeah, when the gorilla is swinging Dwayne Wade around like a weapon at the person of everybody else, it would make it really hard. No, I would unless the humans really trained for this specifically, and I knew for a fact they were willing to actually lose their lives to win, I would just bet the gorilla to win 100%, because I think the humans will panic. I think the humans will start seeing limbs flying and panic, and the gorilla. That's the Mike Tyson. Everybody has a plan to get hit in the mouth. Everybody has a plan to gorilla rips off an arm and starts beating your neighbor with it. And at that point, humans are going to panic, and panic's going to set in. There's going to be fear. There's people trying to climb the cage to get away. And the gorilla can climb the cage too, and swing in and jumping down and smashing.
I mean, like I said, the measurables is just off the charts. Like and I think they said that it could run between 20 and 25 miles per hour.
Yeah,
and they said if it runs at you and hits you, it's like getting hit by a small car. Like you're getting hit by a car. Like if it just knocks you over, you're getting whiplash. You're getting broken bones. Like so, and then again, trying to just tackle it or grab it. You can't, like, it's finely binded skin, bone density is 3 times a human's, and then the hair is thick. So what what are you doing?
Yeah,
I'm like, nobody's thought that all the way through. Like I said, you probably give the best strategies. Like, you know what? Let's try to blind it and then confuse it by giving noise in every direction, so it doesn't know is it coming from there? Is it behind me? Is it under me? Where's this noise coming from?
Because it's a primate, blinding it would work because it can't like smell you. Like, I don't want to fight a blind tiger because it's going to be like, you're over there.
No. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I smell you just fine. But the gorilla can't do that. So I think if you could get it blinded, but even then, it's not going to happen. All these humans are going to die.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note,
it was just interesting to get your takes.
Yeah, absolutely. So on that note, we're going to get out of here. Cleve, I'm going to leave you a question that I want your thoughts to. Anybody watching, listening in the chat, YouTube comments after the fact, go ahead and leave it below. The question is this. Again, don't answer it now, Cleve. Give it some thought. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck?
Wow. Okay.
That's the question to ponder. A question for anybody watching, go ahead, leave it in the comments down below. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Next week, Scott and I will be back to discuss our favorite and least favorite teams from the NFC. We probably won't spend an hour talking about one player like we did tonight. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Paul was in the chat. I know your boy Ev was here, Cleve. So that was really cool. Thank you, Matty Ice, for joining us. Thank you, Scott. We will see everybody next week. Peace.
All right. Peace.